Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's workshop on preparing for an interview hosted by the Career and Internship Center. To start, we're going to talk about the interview overview. Purpose of the interview, and we're going to talk about it for the employer and for the candidate. And I'm going to get these all on screen first. All right, let's dive into this. So, for the employer, the purpose of the interview is looking for a candidate who has the skills and experience needed for a job. Looking for a candidate who's a good fit for the organization. Looking for someone who will be a good colleague. And lastly, for the employer, looking for someone excited about the opportunity. This is important. For the candidate, the purpose of the interview is looking for a position that uses your strengths and interests. Looking for an opportunity to grow and develop professionally. Looking to join a team that feels comfortable. And lastly, looking for the right work environment. You want to be happy in your role. I oftentimes feel that candidates think that an interview is a one-way street when it is in fact a two-way street. For the candidate, it's to find a place you're going to be happy and grow professionally. For the employer, it's to find a candidate that's capable of doing the job and can enhance the department and the overall company. Types of interviews. So we have the phone interview, virtual, in person, and other. Phone interviews can be a recruiter screening. It could be a hiring manager. Sometimes they tend to be first round interviews and a little bit shorter in length. Virtual can be synchronous and asynchronous. So it could be a live action interview in real time, or it could be asynchronous where you record your answers and the hiring team reviews it at a later time. In person is exactly what it sounds, but it can be with a panel of people, can be a recruiter, or can be a hiring manager. And other presentations, case studies, technical, and multiple candidates. Case studies are often associated with consulting. You may see a case study if you're applying to a consulting internship or job. And technical is associated with technical roles to evaluate your technical skills, coding languages, etc., and how well you can problem solve. All right, so we can't talk about that without talking about recruiter screens versus hiring manager interviews. So what are the differences? And we are going to talk about that. Recruiter screens and hiring manager interviews. And let me get these all on the screen here. So for recruiter screen, the purpose is to assess overall fit. Second is match experience to job description, and this is at a surface level. Recruiters are not pros in the department generally. Screen out weaker candidates. And lastly, for recruiter screen is to confirm compensation, location, and timeline. Those can be, recruiter screens can be over the phone, it could be virtual, it could be in person, but they are a little bit shorter and a little bit more broad scope. Hiring manager interviews evaluate strategic fit, assess alignment with team, match key skills and experiences to the job description at a much deeper level. They are the ones with the experience and the knowledge. Validate you're someone they would want to work with. Virtual interview tips. Always ask the employer what software will be used. Make sure you have that downloaded, make sure it's working and compatible with your desktop or iPad or whatever tool you're using. Test out the hardware or the software before interview. And then make sure your environment's a good environment to have a virtual interview. So it's quiet, good lighting, your background with minimal distractions, it's appropriate, and ideal camera angle. These all are kind of contribute to the overall impression from a recruiter or hiring manager. So make sure you've done that prep before you get into the interview. All right, so we covered the overview, and now we're going to jump into during the interview. Experiences to discuss. You can discuss a lot of different things, but first could be volunteer, work, and community service, jobs, internships, class projects, research, leadership, and student organization. This is not the full category of experiences to discuss, but just some things you can draw on and mention Well, you want to make sure that they're specific to the role, that you're highlighting key skills, and that they're relevant. Behavioral questions. Behavioral questions are questions that get asked commonly in any type of interview. Um, Whether you're applying to a more tech-based interview position or consulting or just a general interview, behavioral questions are common across all industries, and we're going to talk about those. Let me get them all on the screen here. But behavioral questions sound like, tell me about a time, or give me an example when. They're looking for concrete examples of when you demonstrated something. And that could be strong communication, solved a complex problem, you've dealt with a difficult customer, you made a mistake, you collaborate with a team. This is not all of them, but these are just some examples. And there's a really helpful formula to follow when answering these questions. And that's called the STARS method, or here we call it CARS method. And it's challenge, actions, results, and skills learned or summary. And you're tying that back to the job. You're connecting your key skills learned to the job you're applying to. And I would say it's important to spend more time on actions and results than you do talking about the overall challenge itself. Actions show key skills and results show impact. And those are two very important things to employers or hiring managers. Example card chart or story bank, and this can be really helpful for your prep before an interview. First would be identify the key words from the job description. We can see on the left, this person has teamwork, collaboration, leadership, Java, Python, SQL, data visualization. Sounds like they're applying to or interviewing for a tech-based job. On the right side is their car story ideas that they can pull from during the interview. So do make sure you do prep work beforehand, and this could be a helpful way to do so. And this way you avoid uncomfortable waiting time, trying to think of answers. You can pull from your car stories bank and use those and tailor to the different questions, but at least you have them on hand. Following behavioral questions, we're going to talk about common questions, which is one is tell me about yourself. That's a very common question that gets asked. Doesn't matter what industry you're going into, it is very common. And we're going to talk about this one. So it's a most frequently asked question at the start of an interview. It's a good icebreaker, but it's common at the beginning of an interview. And to do some prep work, but it's important to consider how your past experiences led you to this position. And a great way to answer this question is present, past, future. So present, who are you right now? You can talk about your education, your identity, your mission, any current active work you're involved in that's relevant. Past, examples of moments you've been affirmed, and this is the kind of work you want to be doing. And future, your goal for making an impact and how this role will help you contribute to those goals. And that can sound like, and this is why I'm so excited about this position. Um, and so expect this question in almost every interview. And I would say, depending on how long your interview is, but I would avoid going past the 2 minutes talking about this tell me about yourself question. More common questions. So what are your strengths and weaknesses? For strengths, highlight some that connect to something on the job description and provide evidence. It's helpful for hiring managers or recruiters to see how your strengths are going to better that department and that company. For weakness, be honest, but also offer a specific example of how you worked on this. Show self-awareness and self-improvement. And this is really key, but avoid stating a skill that seems critical to the job. An example of this would be, say I'm interviewing for a customer service-based job, and they ask me, what are my weaknesses? I may not want to mention that patience is a weakness I have. That's very critical to customer service related jobs, and that may ding you in an interview. And I would also say, this is just a pro tip, but for the prep work, I would come up with at least 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses, just so you have them on hand in case they ask for more than one. Other common questions. So it could look like, why are you interested in this role or company? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Tell me about a project in school that you were particularly proud of. How might your teammates or classmates describe you? And at the very bottom, you'll see a little disclaimer, but these are all general questions. Be sure to review the job description to anticipate specific questions for the role you're applying to. And at the end of every interview, they always usually ask, is there any questions for us? So always have prepared 3 to 4 questions. And on the side over here, you can see different categories of questions to ask, such as training questions, interview process, the job, company culture, career development, employee evaluation, and make sure they're genuine questions that you want to know. And it can be assessing the employer's commitment to DEI. But do avoid some specific questions, and those are things like about the salary itself, about benefits, about when you can start taking vacation, unless it comes up naturally from the recruiter side or hiring manager side. Avoid those questions at the end. So sample questions, and these are all on the screen here, but how would you describe the culture of the organization or of the team? What are the growth pathways for this role? What kind of professional development is offered? What are some of the challenges of this position? What does early success look like in this role? What are examples of projects previous people in this role have worked on? What are the next steps in this hiring process? These are all great questions to ask. So pick ones that you're genuinely interested in. And like I said, interviews are two-way streets. Questions to avoid asking. Do not ask, what is the salary benefits for this position? When can I start taking vacation? How soon can I get a promotion? And so, did I get the job? So avoid these questions. Do not ask these at the end of an interview. Tips and next steps. Interview tips. Do your research. I cannot emphasize this enough. Go to the company website. Learn who their clients are. Learn their mission and values. Dig through that website. Also, it can be helpful to go to their social media page or looking up Google articles or news articles surrounding the company and the work they're doing. Study the job description. Make sure you know the job, like on the back of your hand, so that you can align your experiences and your key skills to that job description. Know your strengths. Prepare different car stories demonstrating multiple skills. Use that car story bank that we talked about. Practice out loud with a friend or career coach. This can help build confidence. Prepare questions to ask the interview committee. Never go in saying, I don't have any questions. Ask about hiring timeline at the end of the interview. And always send a thank you email out afterwards. Send it within a couple hours of your interview. Always recommend going above and beyond just a thank you email. And what I mean by that is it's helpful to talk about a little bit more in depth in a thank you email. So things like, thank you so much for the opportunity to interview. I really enjoyed hearing more about X, Y, and Z. And those are positive things you took from the interview about the company, about the role that you're excited about. And if you're comfortable ending that thank you email with a quick reiteration of your qualifications, I would encourage you to do so. And then you just say thank you and sign your name. But go above and beyond just your typical thank you email. Things to remember. If you're getting an interview, they have deemed that you are qualified and capable to do the job. They have seen your application material, they've seen your resume, they've seen your cover letter, and any additional information that they required. They know you can do the job. Throughout this process, if you see any red flags, you are not being forced to accept a position you think you may ultimately have a negative impact on you. So you do not have to say yes to a job after an interview. You want to be happy in a role, and if there's red flags in an interview, you do not have to take that job after. The more you prepare and think about your experiences, the easier it will be to talk about them in an interview. You'll be more confident, and the interviewer will be able to get what they need from you skill-wise, qualification-wise. And always tell yourself the committee is rooting for you to be the best candidate. They want to make a hire. They are cheering for you. And lastly, private spaces for virtual interviews. The Career and Internship Center in Mary Gates Hall offers UW Seattle students private spaces for virtual interviews. And you can scan the QR code below to book a room for your interview. We have a Husky Career Closet as well. So you're more than welcome to come by and pick out some interview outfits. Don't have to return them. And then also we offer backgrounds for virtual interviews. And lastly is Udly AI, which is a great interview practice tool. And you can scan the QR code below to make an account and start practicing your interviews. And that will help build confidence and that will shine through in your interview. And lastly is the Career and Internship Center. We have a lot of great resources on our website. And we also offer 60-minute mock interviews for Seattle UW students and general interview tips, which are 30 minutes. And you can book it with a career coach. And that is through Handshake. And that's the end of this webinar. I appreciate you taking the time to learn more about interviews. Thank you. Bye-bye.